Hello! We are College Boy Taisen back again for episode 4, technically 5, because our numbering sucks.
It's a good day to be back.
Yeah,
College Boy
let's start it off simple today, Jacob. How are you doing? How you been doing? Tell the audience.
Audience. I'm doing all right. Got in a car accident, not that bad, but I'll live. I'm here. I don't need to go over the whole story. It's not that big of a deal. I'm fine. Car's fine. We're living. We're chilling. Ghially, how about you?
Man, today has been a crazy week. There's been Twitter controversies. There's been new media that's dropped. There's college. We're college boys. College been popping. Yeah, but mostly I think it's a pretty normal week. At least for Toka Twitter.
I always do this, but we got a little bit of a nugget of a thing. I think we should talk about.
What was the nugget of the thing?
We got the trademark for next year's Super Sentai season.
Oh, okay. Just explain this to me, because I'm not that much of a Sentai person.
We got Osama Sentai, King Oger, which is literally King Sama Sentai, Kinger.
Oh, they finally did the thing they wanted to do back in Zenkaiju.
Yup.
When they wanted to call it Sentai.
And there's a whole mess of theories with insects, but I'm not gonna. We can save that for another day, because there's a lot you could say on that. I think it's all very interesting. But yeah, we got that.
I'm so excited for Geo 2. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be 6 of them.
I'm excited. They're gonna have 6 Sogos. It's gonna be beautiful. People are gonna hate it because it's Sogo. I'm gonna love it.
The first time
Sogo
ever for Sentai where all 6 members were actually the same person.
It's great. But I think I don't know if there was anything else Sentai.
I mean, if we recorded this even a day, we're recording on Thursday. We usually record on Wednesdays, but if we recorded this on Friday, you might have had that Power Rangers news to talk about.
We might have had Power Rangers news. Oh, I guess. What do you? This relates to our later topic. But what do you think we're gonna see? Do you think we're gonna see these Cosmic Fury suits? Think we're getting any info?
Because I assume we have to, honestly. Because the only case I see, here's how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
If we get a trailer tomorrow, then it's suits from a Sentai, or it's unused Ryu Soldier footage. If we don't get a trailer tomorrow, then I think that means it's original stuff and they still haven't filmed it yet. Original suits.
Just from what I've not this isn't leak, right? But just I've heard that, or Hunter Deno posted this, that they haven't even left yet. So the actors aren't there.
I feel that's normal though, because last time we got the first Dino Fury trailer had just a bunch of stock footage. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they've shot some stuff with the new suits. But what do you think? Are we getting all original, or do you feel there's maybe still a chance for Sentai?
I feel like there's a small chance. For right now, I'm kind of leaning towards maybe they'll keep the Dino Fury suits and maybe just have new Zords. Or something like that, because just all the stuff for space and shit or whatever. But it's honestly, it's not really that big of a deal. Of course, on Twitter, I was a big advocate for Q Ranger because I'm a stickler for the things I like, and I was like, man, everyone said Q Ranger can never happen. I just want them to be wrong because I love Q Ranger. But honestly, I just don't really care at this point.
I think
if it is Q Ranger, I'll be happy.
Yeah. It's an interesting, this is a random topic, I'm sorry, but, it intrigues me a lot, Cosmic Fury, but what it worries me and intrigues me is they go original, right? It's going to be hit or miss, because I feel like if they go with any of the Sentais they haven't used, Q Ranger, Q Major, people like those suits. Majority of people, I would say, like those suits. And they're going to be a hit regardless, because they're good-looking suits, in my opinion, both are. But if they go with original suits, it's going to be there is a 50-50 that they either are good or they suck. Or there's the off chance they just stick with the Dino Fury suits, which I wouldn't mind, because those are my favorite suits. But still, I think, this will all be outdated in 2 days-ish, right? Should be, I think. But yeah, you know. But we'll get to Power Rangers later.
Yeah, for
right
now,
now.
we have a beast to tackle in Kamen Rider Geats episode 4. Let's hop right into it. Jacob, what did you think as a whole of episode 4 of Geats?
I feel it was a strong episode, but I don't think it was as strong as the last ones. I didn't found my. I liked it.
Really?
It's because it's a resolution. I feel. I do like the moments we got with Nago. It's a great development for her. I just didn't feel, not like, I didn't feel not invested, but it wasn't like catching me most of the episode like the previous 3 have, if that makes sense. I just that could just be my mental state right now. That I just wasn't interested. But it was still a good episode. I liked the development we got. I think, Naga's character with her mom, and like her mom being like, "Oh, please stay with me," because her mom just thinks of her as an item, basically, and like, Ace and Kawa like helping her out. I think that's really cool, and I like that we're seeing like, Ace isn't actually an asshole. He's just like, he just enjoys the Grand Prix for what it is. I feel, at least my interpretation. And you see Buffa like he's actually he's probably actually the asshole, because like
we see more of the moral ambiguity with Buffa this episode.
Which is cool. But and Japan leaves, which is great, because screw him. Sorry, Chris. But what do you think? What do you think of the episode?
Jacob was over here like, Chris can finally shut up. Yeah.
Yes. Finally.
I think, in my honest opinion, it's the best episode so far. I think honestly 4 for 4. It has
4 for 4.
It has great. That honestly, like, it has my favorite action so far. Like, I think Naga's fight, or just Nago using boost, was a little bit better than Geats' first fight.
Yeah, the choreography was really solid, and I like the kicking with the flames, and I like the giant. I like that giant hammer. No shit. But
and obviously, Reiwa has had the theme of like just trying to have more female writers. We've had Yaiba, we've had Sakura, we've had Reika,
and Sophia.
Yeah, she was on for like 2.2 milliseconds. She's a good character, but honestly, like in these 2 episodes, like just the charisma and like how convincing of her performance Neon's actor has already made me like so much more emotionally invested than I ever was for the others. Not to pit them against each other, because in my head, Yaiba is taking care of all of them. Literally, because they're using their weapons all the time. So,
True.
It's just like, I am on board for Neon. She can easily shape up to be my favorite tertiary of Reiwa. Which is not hard, because I don't know, tertiaries aren't really my kind of character. I think most of the time. And they have to be like really good to me for me to like. They have to be really good to me for me to love them. Which is like Kitaoka. I love Kitaoka from Yuki. I consider Yagarama, or the B/Kick Hopper, to be the third of Kabuto, and I love him. It's
Grease is
fun.
Obviously the best character ever made by fiction.
A lot of people would disagree. Very controversial character.
That's crazy that I like him and nobody else does.
and you don't like Bill.
I know, right? Like, I think that's funny. But no, I agree. And like, I don't know, Nago's interesting, because I think I've mentioned this, or maybe I think I've said it to you or somebody, but the influencer like character, I feel, is like a really cool thing for Toku to do. Because like I was gonna say it's meta, but it's not. It's only. I was gonna say like
something we can bring up. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
But like a news article has recently come up about like influencers and tokusatsu stuff, like the presence of like influencers as a concept in Toku. The recently put up news site. Superhero Time, I think they're called. They made an article about that.
I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. Nice little. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, new little news site coming up. Run by
Come
fans
up.
for the fans. I think
No
I don't know. I think
Toginet.
Squall Charleston's the one is doing it, but
Squall
I know
Charleston.
a couple of our friends are in there, like Lupin J. I know Lupin J is one of the writers there.
We got I think
They
Brevin's
recently
on there.
made an article about Calvin, cosplaying Calvin.
Meta Lucy, I believe.
Yep, all about their snipe cosplay. But yeah, it definitely is an interesting thing to see, like more modern concepts in Tokusatsu.
Yeah, and it's like going to the meta thing. It's only I was gonna say it's meta, but it's only meta because I'm thinking of it as like we're talking about the influencer in the show. And I was gonna call us influencers. We're kind of influencers, kind of not. You get what I'm trying to go here.
So
I don't know. It's funny 'cause
people
she's
are
just-
influenced by our opinions sometimes.
Yes, totally. Like those people I write our name on that whiteboard.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I did it again the other day, and it was still there today. I forgot to take a picture of it. But hi, people who go to my college, if anyone listened to it.
I hope you listen to this and you're like, what the hell are they talking about? I have no idea. Is this Japanese Power Rangers? Yes. Yes, it is.
Totally. And it's American Power Rangers, but that comes later in the podcast.
Stay tuned. But yeah,
in
like
40
it's
minutes.
just I really just think like Neon's acting is really the highlight for me of this episode. And the scene that definitely stuck out to me the most is once she like leaves her house in the middle of the night and Keiwa's there and Ace, and she just has like that like very slow moment where she's both like silent for a bit and you can just like see all the sadness as her face kind of breaks apart, and then Keiwa's like, but it's okay, and she's just like, stop, shut up.
I thought when I watched it live, I thought she got kicked out, but no, when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, she just hopped the fence, I think, or she just walked out, but like still, it's funny that, I don't know, I just thought it was funny that's like, oh, she got kicked out, but then I watch it, I'm like, no, she either left or she hopped the fence. I don't know, but no, that is
so funny.
It's a strong scene, and it's like the inklings of our trio being built up. Not saying they're gonna be a trio 100%, but like it is the trio technically.
We talked about earlier about interpretations of Ace. Sorry if I sound weird. I'm currently like eating my dinner while Jacob is talking, but I'm listening.
I'm entertaining. I don't know. I think, yeah. Yeah, I don't. Wait, did you want me to go off of the interpretations, or did you have?
Everybody said, "Oh no, I had one." you're like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, what did I do something?"
My bad.
No, you're good. But
it's a long day.
I talked about this on Twitter, but my interpretation of Ace. Yeah, I think around when the episode came out, my interpretation of Ace is that I was gonna get fucking cheesy, but like he trusts Lass, he trusts Lass. But to elaborate,
I hate trust Lass.
Something I brought up is that whenever Ace does help people, like he's like in every episode he has helped or saved someone, but every single time he only does it if it ensures him some kind of benefit. Which he doesn't outright say in the show, but you can kind of just gather it. Like in episode 1, where he saves Neon from the falling building. I didn't even
think of that.
Yeah, Buffa said, "Oh, trying to get rescue points this late in the game." He still got points from that.
I didn't even. Oh my god.
In episode 2, damn, I'm trying to forget episodes already. What happened in episode 2?
Episode 2.
Episode 2 was the first game. He helped Ginpen's kid. He helped Ginpen's kid and just told nobody about it. In episode 3,
he beat the monster too. So
he used Ginpen's child to get boost, and just helped him out afterwards. In episode 3, he saved Neon, but at the same time he also took out the zombies, which also gave him points because he cleared the game.
And not to mention he exposes Japan.
Yeah.
Which helps him in some way. Well, it does help him, but
And this time around,
it's not like it's not a benefit to winning the game.
and this time around, I would argue that the case of it is that he doesn't really help Neon in that fight until after he scored a bit of points. And even then, I'm pretty sure, from the little scoreboard of how to get points, all of Neon's kills would have counted as assists for him too. So he never really helps people unless it secures his spot, or like keeps him safe. And I feel like that is like some kind of symbolism for his mentality as a character. Which I think is really interesting. If I'm right about all this, I will say Geats might low-key be a top tier show of like trying to have storytelling of a character's personality through like actions and the opening. But basically,
it's a good point.
Basically,
show don't tell.
Yeah, basically, it's the concept is he wants to help people and he wants to have friends, or he wants to like just basically be a hero, like Keiwa always talks about. But at the same time, he has like a mentality that if he helps people, the people that he will help will bring him down and leave him. So he always makes sure that he is safe first before he helps. Like, if I'm going to save this person, let me make sure I get points while I do it, so I keep my spot.
I was gonna say, this is kind of reiterating what you're saying, but it's like the mentality thing, right? Most Toku guys, their mentality is like at the forefront, like it's their whole thing, and like half the time their catchphrase is also their name or something, right? But with this show, it's not like in your face about it, which is your point, but it's like
it's especially like in the show where basically everyone's motivations and mentalities except for Keiwa is hidden from the audience. Yeah,
and like as you said, he's helping people, but he's also pretty much benefiting himself in the long run. But I don't know, it's interesting to not see the main character be in your face about what he is. He's not like screaming a catchphrase 24/7, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I like when they do that, I think it's cool, but still, it's kind of a, I don't want to say a dichotomy, but it's kind of a departure from what did I just say?
It's a breakup from all the recent protagonists we've had,
and I would even say especially for Takahashi's characters. I feel like we harp on him a lot, not like a bad harp on. But
I can agree that Ace so far has definitely felt extremely different from Emu and Naruto.
But it's good. I like different. I like him. I think he's still my favorite character. He's just.
I just think it's interesting for Ace because especially it's like I feel like we're not gonna find out his entire deal until maybe like the 30s, TBH.
I could see. That's a good. I feel like that's a good estimate, but I could also see it being like a late estimate. So if we do find out his deal, I feel like it's going to be after like the January shakeup we always get. I feel like it's going to be after that, which is like mid-teens, I think. I don't know the time.
Near 20s.
I think we're going to see it then.
I just think like it's an interesting concept, especially with how he acts. Like every time the main trio are together, it's always Keiwa and Neon are like basically sitting next to each other or talking, and Ace is purposely standing away from them, trying to not look at them. But he's still there, and he still offers like his advice or what they could do to solve the situation. It's like he wants to be there, but like a part of him is trying to like keep him safe, like trust issues.
Always trust last.
Yeah. It's like, oh man.
Be like, maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but that's what we do here.
Yeah.
But he's like, pun intended, he's masking himself. He's masking the real Ace. You know? And like you see that in the opening with the two of them. And I think like we went over this the last time. I forget. But it's
honestly that can go
on with that guy.
That can go into what I said, because I talked about this with friend Will. I love Will.
We need to get him.
He would be a great time on the podcast. But they said basically like, oh, what if him having like this Geats persona is part of the trust issues? Like, oh, he never outright says that he will help, or he never outright says that he helped Yinpen's kid because he thinks like it can be used as a weakness.
Mm.
So if like, oh, if I reveal that I actually do want to help people, it'll be used against me, even though I want to help people, and it'll be my downfall.
Yeah. Sorry, I blinked for a second.
Yeah, that's fine.
What? This is kind of related to Geats, but what really, or Ace himself rather, what something really interests me was at the end, with the game master being like, their fated battle is coming with him and Buffa. I really want to know, like, obviously, you know, it's hinting at something, but I think it's interesting that he's pushing this rivalry too, like he's making a deal out of it. I feel like there's definitely something with it, obviously, but it's weird that he's literally saying this is their fated battle or whatever the subs say. Like, it's that important? They're just two random guys, you know?
There's two random guys, but one of them really hates the other one.
Yeah. I feel like it's a wait and see with what he means by that, other than, you know, one is the purple, probably also not evil rider, but you get what I mean.
Honestly, when we got leaks of like Ninja Tycoon Ninja, I was thinking the entire time of like, okay, like just from episode 2, I was like, okay, this man is terrified of any conflict and confrontation. How is he gonna supposedly get this form within like the next 10 episodes and actually use it? But no, we're starting to we're instantly getting some like development for Kayla. Like when Buffo instantly tried to move, like, oh man, I'm gonna kill this zombie, and Kayla like actually like he didn't hesitate. Like he hesitated in earlier episodes, but he didn't hesitate this time to try and do what he thought was right.
Which is crazy too, because like when you think about it, like in the context of the show, it's been like a few days. Like it hasn't been that long that he's like getting this quick about it, which is cool and interesting that he's getting so quickly accustomed to like, you know, fighting.
But even then,
though,
it's good to
won't fight other people that much. I don't think he'll be like another people. He'll fight the monsters.
It's a start. No, it's a start because like he wants to mainly save people. But like in this episode, we finally saw him like try to actually not even fight Buffa, but just like have any sort of confrontation with another person. And in this episode, we actually like saw him trying to fight the zombies, which I love how much they're implementing like the characters' personalities with their suit actors. Like, the suit actor, I feel like easily in the first couple episodes, the suit actors are doing an amazing job. Like Mary's and Tycoon's.
I was about to bring up Mary's. Mary's was really
Mary's
good.
he is so energetic and I love it. And it's just little things like Kaywa using arrow this episode to fight the zombies, and you can see his hands like trembling as he tries to shoot them.
And he like, I noticed this too when he's going at Buffa for trying to attack Neon, whatever. Neon. I got it now. He's going after Buffa for attacking Neon. He literally throws the bow and arrow away when he transforms.
Yeah.
He just pushes, like it's I know it's an obvious detail, but I think it's just he just throws it away and he's just pushing the guy. He doesn't even care. Well, this guy's just holding a water pipe.
Oh yeah, it's so interesting that like it feels like it's so obvious that K1 doesn't know how to fight at all. Because like I feel like we see that a lot with Kamen Riders of like this character finally has the time to become a writer, so they slap on their belt, they transform, and they know exactly at least some kind of form of martial arts or how to street fight.
I think that's not really. It's not an issue.
It's not an issue. It's funny, but like it's more like you don't think about it. But now Kayla has like kind of done this, and it's like, wow, huh?
What it makes you retroactively think like, oh wait,
how did
so and so know how to do it, you know?
Yeah, but like it's like, oh man, like especially with this season of like the average people become Kamen Riders, especially Kayla. Like Kayla's like average man
K was
like
us.
he does not know how to throw hands.
I remember a lot of people were doing that questioning thing with like X8 and like how Emma would know how to fight and like how they're doing
Yeah,
our
the
doctor
genius
and gamer
gamer
skills,
and
our doctor and gamer skills translate to knowing how to fight. It's like no, they don't, guys.
oh no, actually
Like
it's so funny. Like Braves level 3, and he's like, I'm good at rhythm games because CPR.
some of them are fine. Like that one I'm okay with because
That one's just funny to me. It's funny to me.
And then it Snipes like, oh, I'm good at shooting because I was a radiologist. Yeah, okay, that's how that works. Note, I don't know how radiology works, so don't come at me.
And see, being a coroner translates to being a bike.
Oh god, I don't know what he does with those bodies.
But yeah, also like I know there was that comment writer like poll, and it actually doesn't whittle it down at anything, but like there's been a bunch of polls, but like that one poll of like the most pathetic character in Kamen Rider. Again, if that was made just a little bit later, Keiwa would have won, because honestly, Keiwa is like pathetic man McGee, and I love him for it. Like in the beginning of this week's episode, he started off with like his little video diary thing, which I hope that becomes the norm for just every single episode. I would love it if it's like build recaps or something.
I need a Buffalo one. I need him doing one. That'd be funny.
But like he started off this week's little video diary of like, sis, if you find this,
Yeah,
I probably fucking died. I probably suffered a brutal death.
I love that they just got a little locker room. Wherever like building they're in, I don't know, like whatever it is, it's just kind of funny how big it is. It has a horse stable in it.
I want to see like the full process of them like getting ready, because like we know they put on their drivers to teleport to the place, but it's like, okay, we're there. We gotta go suit up in the locker room. Then gotta go to the main lobby.
I sort of wonder if they do have to suit up. I was gonna say, do they get the clothes?
Yeah,
instantly?
he takes off his jacket in the locker room, so they have to go there.
I was gonna question it because like in the second episode they're all in the normal clothes, but then I'm like, well, no, that makes sense because they just got there.
Also, I love Geats' consistent theme of like, your desires is something you always have to fight for, and like no one else can really give it to you for you, or like, and it's also not an easy thing. So if you're not chasing them constantly, you're gonna fail, and that showed in like how Japan was disqualified. Because literally, if he did not attack Mary earlier, he would have been in the game, and Neon would have still lost regardless.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting.
I was gonna say that, like, it's crazy.
And Ace has that entire thing. Ace has that entire thing of like, yeah, if you weren't busy trying to kill the rest of us, you probably would have still been in the game.
His whole thing is like, buddy, you got hit by a car. We get it. It's fine. Not your fight, but I get where you're coming from. But like, that doesn't mean everyone else sucks. Just that.
You got hit by a car.
Chill out.
Boo hoo. Walk it off.
Yeah, boo hoo. Walk it off.
That's terrible.
Didn't I say that last week?
You probably did.
I said it somewhere.
It's inevitable. We have to bring that up. So like, Yuya Takahashi and abusive parents.
Oh yeah, I was wondering when we were gonna get to that.
Masamune, Dan, Guy's dad, and now Neon's mom.
It's always the influencer children too.
Honestly, I'm already scared about the fandom and like people simping after the mom, especially because I forgot if it was the Twitter account or the Instagram that had that behind the scenes picture of Neon's mom actor holding like Ace in a collar, and I was like, oh no.
Might have
Dear Lord.
have to look at that picture later.
Oh, okay.
What?
But wow, yeah. That? Honestly, like,
I'm sorry.
I don't want to like take away from like the terrible actions that Guy's dad and Masamune did in their shows, but like, Geats has done a good job at making just the character struggles feel a bit more real, like something that people could relate to. Like, obviously, with, like, what Japan was doing, and Keiwa being a normal guy, and Neon's situation. But it's just, like, I understand. It is still very, like, bad. I understand, like, the scale of what the other, I guess, bad Takahashi parents did. But it's just like, oh, Masamune was using his son to make the bad video games. They make the bad games, like... the bad games, and also he bullies them by stopping time.
Oh no!
And like
that one's weirder because it's like
guy's dad is a
fighting in the suit, so it's like
the situation. The situation is a bit more down to earth, but at the same time, I always thought it was a bit goofy. Like sure that there probably was many other situations that were like, you know, reflect real life. And ultimately, abuse in Toku doesn't have to be realistic. It's fucking Toku. But, like, fuck your dog, son. and the guy was like, damn it, he took away my dog. Time to go make human slaves. And it's just like, wow. This one, it's not only that, like, in this one, not only is the mom abusive, but, like, it's scary how much she's echoed real-life situations that I've heard from, like, real people. It's especially the scene where she slaps Neon like down to the fucking ground, and then immediately like obviously Neon would just try to book it because why wouldn't you? And she immediately like hugs her like, wait, no, but I love you. I hit you because I love you. And it's like, ugh, man, ugh.
You love her. You slapped her and then
manipulative bitch
or whatever it was.
And it's just, it's sad.
The doll metaphor is crazy too.
Like, oh yeah, no, like you walk into the house.
A genius metaphor.
It really is. Like the set, like I said before, the set design on Geats has been so good, but not just with the fights, but with just the normal like areas. Like I love Keiwa and his sister, like their small ass apartment. It looks so little. It's so funny, and I love Neon's house. And how her mom's room is just, like, decorated with a bunch of dolls. And so it's like, oh, based, like, visual storytelling. Neon is basically just another doll along the wall. It's crazy.
Kids, or is it just her? Or it's a whole family of rich people, isn't it?
I think the mom said Neon's the only child. And that's why, like, she's especially important.
Interesting.
It's just crazy, and especially that like.
Do you think they're gonna come back?
The abuse.
Or do you think we're done for a bit?
Well,
obviously they're gonna come back, but you get what I mean. Like
Takahashi storytelling, like Takahashi again, has already built his reputation, thanks to 01 of being the guy that wants to talk about the real stuff, and I like what he did with the pan, and I like what he's doing with Neon. So, and honestly, I think I don't know if he'll do it, but I'm just saying the way if he wants to make it good, then I think it needs to be a constant thing with Neon's character. Because her whole goal is trying to get out of there in the first place.
So what you're saying?
So that's no. Oh my god, that would be terrible. But hey, that's logically.
It's time for evil moms.
It's logically where Neon's character is gonna have like the conclusion, getting out the house. Either that or dying, you know, either or.
Whoa, there's other options.
Dude, no, I'm already sick of Toku Twitter.
Influencer.
I'm so sick of Toku Twitter. Every scan now is like Mary's not gonna make. Well, obviously Mary's not gonna probably make it, but like Neon's not gonna make it. Everyone has been big.
He's gonna live.
Everyone has been big on Neon is not gonna make it.
Bro, she's at least gonna live till she gets the buckle. People need to chill.
Like we haven't even seen the buckle in the scans yet. Like we got to stop now.
We really just got punk jacked too. Like that. Like, relax, people.
But yeah, like the fact that like the abuse just it's written in such a real raw way. That it like especially with like in mix with Neon's actress's performance and all the scenes where she's like I don't care what I have to do, I am going to make my dreams a reality, and it's just like God, I feel it. It's just like she's passionate, it's raw, bro. It is raw. It's Kino. It's goated. It's all that dumb shit.
Do you think
It's good.
I got an odd one for you. Odd question. Odd, and I want your thoughts.
Yeah.
You can cut this out if you don't think it's good, or if it's uncalled for. Do you think like Takahashi is like speaking from experience with this parental stuff, like in all of his stuff, or do you think he's just going with the times? Not
Honestly,
like that, but you get what I'm trying to say. He's going with just what he thinks would be successful, or is a topic he wants to tackle.
I'm going with a disclaimer here that I do not. I don't know shit about Takahashi.
I don't know shit either. That's why I asked. not asked you, but asked your thoughts on what you think.
I think that's really just a tough case because I think there's a lot of writers that either write characters from personal experiences or write characters with just like, oh, this is like what's happening in the world right now, so I want to talk about this. And I think with Takahashi it's more so the latter, more so because obviously human-gears are like, you know, the minorities, like the stand-in for minorities, and you know, Asians are minorities and they have gone under oppression, but more specifically how it's formatted and shot and filmed in 01 really references specifically black oppression with like the BLM protests, MC Check It Out, obviously, and it's just it feels like it references that more, and so obviously Takahashi wouldn't really have knowledge about that. Like, of course, he can know only what, you know, other people know, but like speaking from experiences like that, you can only really have that true knowledge about it if you're part of the group that's oppressed.
Yeah.
And so I think Takahashi is mainly doing like I guess it'd be more like awareness of like, oh, I think this needs to be known more and this needs to be seen more of like, oh, for the people, unfortunately, like demographics have to go under this oppression, or sometimes younger kids go through some bad things and their whole mentality goes to shit, like Japan, or some kids are really in this terrible situation no matter how good their life may seem to be. But you know, it could all be from experience. So it's all what Takahashi thinks. I don't know. He was wearing a Rick and Morty shirt, man. That man could be doing anything.
They say call out. If anyone has any information or like he said anything, I'm actually curious now. Like if where he's getting all this stuff from. I think it's an interesting.
I'd love to read a Takahashi interview. Like I want to hear what's going through his mind.
Talk about it. Just
honestly, like a lot of people are like
3 parental figures being abused.
Whenever I talk about 01's whole Humagear thing, everyone's like, "Yeah, it may have been bad, but don't you want to see him try again?" Like obviously my answer is always no, because I think I hold my right to not fucking care, and I'm glad so far he's writing a decent show. He's writing a good show that I'm interested in. I hope it doesn't go bad. But the one thing I can give him props, even if he fucked up the execution so hard, I do think him trying to finally bring politics awareness to situations in the world into Toku. Not saying they weren't in there before. Obviously, you know, Build has its thing with Japan, but like things that really feel like are supposed to be references to the entire world rather than like things more contained to their own culture. I think it immediately sets out Takahashi from the other writers of like, we know Inoue for this, we know Kobayashi for that, and so Takahashi is kind of like building his own identity right now, because it really feels like he's gonna be up there with Inoue and Kobayashi of like how often these people write for Toku. But also I feel like the other thing I can give him props for, it feels like he and we can talk about like if it was a good attempt or if he tried or if he succeeded or failed, but it definitely felt like it was the first attempt to make Reiwa feel different from Heisei. Of like, this is a new era of Kamen Rider. We feel like we can talk about things that are bigger than us.
Whether that landed, that's up to you.
It's definitely an attempt. That's all I can say.
It's certainly a attempt. Certainly something like most of 01.
But aside, I whatever he does here, I hope
I'm here. I'm here
yeah
for it.
I hope he just stays consistent with it. Oh yeah, that we spent a good 40 minutes on Geats.
So,
I think
the
it's time to
verdict.
flip over.
Kamen Rider Geats
Color episode 4 was pretty
was
good.
good.
The acting is great. The fights were great. Everything was fun. I love Neon's little fighting style. I wanted to throw that in real quick of like flipping around and shit and having the big
Mm.
hammer. I love it.
Now,
Also, why does the boost buckle hate Kayla? Why did it bump into him at the end of that episode? That you
I
didn't
think
need to
it's
do
just a
that.
hater.
It really is a hater preying on my man's downfall.
Dude, I'm so upset right now.
What happened?
Okay. I was gonna make a joke about the hater wheel and say we're not gonna do it. Instead, I'm gonna fake. I'm not gonna not fake. I'm gonna say it just landed on Simon. Not saying it was going. He's not even on the wheel. But the point is, the hater wheel's gone. It. All the entries are gone. Now I'm upset.
We can remake that another day. For now,
And yeah,
Jacob, just pick a guy. Pick a person. Go
it's
ahead.
Simon Bennett. It's Simon Bennett. We're gonna hate on.
You get a freebie. I'll let you
Bennett.
I'll let you run it. I'll let you run it.
But Power Rangers Dino Fury. I'm not gonna hate on him yet. We're gonna get to it. You know,
God, where to start with that?
serviceable show. It's all right, honestly. It's all right. Grand scheme, it's all right. Better than Beast Morphers, and I'll stand by that. You can
Definitely
argue with
better.
me.
Definitely better. No, I'm not the biggest fan of Beast Morphers.
We can talk about Beast Morphers another day. Now,
Yeah.
I don't have so many problems, but the problems I have, just yeah. But no, Dino Fury, positive. Dino Fury, it's an improvement over, I think, Beast Morphers and I would say most of the Neo Sabat era. And it's nice to have a Power Ranger season that I'm like, yeah, it's good. It's all right.
So let me ask you then, if we're looking at this season in a vacuum, like say if this is just an average season coming out, what would you think about it?
If it without any like if this was just a random season of Power Rangers, not like including Beast Morphers as a previous, or you just mean like if this was
Yeah,
just
like
a
like
show
maybe if it was like in a couple years once we have more Power Rangers content, so Dino Fury has been kind of like buried by time, and so we just look back at it like we do other seasons. What would you think?
If I looking back on this season, I think I would be a little bit more loose on it. I'm not saying I'm brutal on it or I'm hard on it, but there's a lot of stuff like right now with like the way the PR fandom is on Twitter and like Simon Bennett being a constant figure on the fandom discussion. Right now,
Yeah.
it makes me kind of like people are overhyped. I use overhype a lot. I do recognize that. I don't know if I've said it a lot in the podcast. I feel like I might have, but I don't know. But my point is, Dino Fury really gets overhyped a lot for, I feel like, aspects that are deserved to be hyped, but they're not aspects that are particularly great in the context of the show. That makes sense. Like they're good aspects, but they're not like as good as they could be, which isn't really like a problem, but it's more like you guys are hyping up something that has been either done better before or can be done better, if that makes sense. Like, what's one thing? I guess
You
I
brought
don't know,
up the
biggest-
skirt rip. I don't know if you brought it up on the podcast, but we talked about the skirt rip at just one point of like, oh, other female Rangers didn't have a skirt.
Yeah. The skirt rip is a good example. I was actually talking about this with a friend, but like, the skirt rip is a good moment, but it's not like a top 10 Power Rangers moment, if that makes sense. I wouldn't even say it's maybe top 10 in Dino Fury. Maybe it is. Not in my opinion, but you could maybe argue with me about it. But it's not top 10 in Power Rangers, and even in Power Rangers, there have been moments where a female Ranger is like, wait, this isn't my thing. Like, the person I was talking to about this was literally like, in Mystic Force, Vita is like, wait, I don't even like the color pink when she morphs for the first time. I could be wrong. You can fact check me, but I do. She says something like that. And even SPD, you have a character like Z, who would have probably done the same thing as Izzy and ripped the skirt off if their suits did have skirts. I feel she would have. But it's not like the skirt rip is a cool moment. I'll give them that. It's nice to like see a Ranger actually modify the suit themselves. but it's like
It
it's
does
just
bring up a lot of
dude.
questions, but like yeah.
It's just a skirt, and like I feel like I might get hate for this, and you might disagree with me yourself. I don't think Izzy is that great of a character. Like she's fine. She's not bad. I'm not saying that at all, but she's like just fine.
Mm.
But that could just be because like I feel like most of the characters in Dino Fury are just fine, and I just think they could be better.
Honestly, to try and transition this over to what I think of like my general thoughts.
Yes. What do you think?
Power Rangers for me is what Sentai apparently is to other people.
What do you mean?
Sense.
What do you? That's an interesting saying. What do you mean by that?
Because whenever I always say, at least to other people, that Sentai, I'm not that big of a Sentai person. Like how episodic it is, and how like one note the characters feel. I usually watch a Sentai and I get so bored no matter what I watch. the only things I have loved is Die Ranger, Tokyuger, Q Ranger, and right now Dawn Brothers.
I get it.
And Dawn because Dawn Brothers feels like it's actually going the extra mile to like have characters feel interesting. Thanks to Noah. Also, gay people. If you put it gay people on my screen, I'm legally obligated to check it out.
Real.
But
like me and purple.
Whenever I talk about that, people are like, yeah, but like it's fun. It's nice, and it's just like, like with Kamen Rider, it's so story heavy, and it's like, oh man, all this edgy stuff happens. But you go to Sentai, and it's fun land. It's nice and fun, and you can just like turn on an episode and watch like whatever you want, and just not care, and saw blah and blah and this, and it's just like God. But I don't care though. Like I watch Zenkaiger and like, oh man, this is like peak Sentai to a lot of people, but like I just don't care.
Those people, I don't trust those people.
And it's just like, so basically, what people say Sentai is for them, Power Rangers, at the very least, Dino Fury has been that for me. It's the one show so far, like at least in terms of modern toku,
just chill.
Where I can turn it on. I can really enjoy it. I love Dino Fury. I'll just get that out the way. I fucking love Dino Fury. It is in my top 3 seasons. I like a lot of people have been saying, but it's a show where I can just turn on any episode and just enjoy it, no matter what. No matter if I just feel like watching it on my own. No matter if I go downstairs and my little brother's watching it on the TV and I just want to join him. It is. I love it. And so I don't sure the story can be wonky here and there, but I ultimately don't care because I think the story is good, and that's all I really need.
I feel like Power Rangers in general, it's a lot of like Power Rangers specifically nowadays. I feel more than ever is like you can just kind of watch it and enjoy it. Like you don't really necessarily need to like think of what you don't necessarily need to care what other people think. Like I know a lot of people and I'm friends with, maybe not like a sizable or a decent amount of people, or rather I know a few people that I'm friends with who would rather just see the show be canceled at this point. And probably is going to be after Cosmic Fury, but besides the point, it's just interesting to see like those people be like, oh, I hope the show gets canceled, or like, I would rather it be over. But like, me over here, I'm like, I still want to watch it. I still enjoy watching it.
I love it. Like, Power Rangers has always been a big part of my life, and it never will not be.
It's never, I cannot, I say this, it's like, me and Power Rangers are in like a bad, unhealthy relationship. I say some things, they say some things, but I always keep coming back.
Yeah. But they always text you at 5 a.m.
I'm not making light of unhealthy relationships. I'm just saying.
They always text you at 5 a.m. like, baby, don't go, please. I got 5 Rangers walking in the sun for 5 days. Come back.
Exactly. I'm like, that's the thing. I always remember things that I love about Power Rangers. I'm like, fuck, that shit was so good. Like, today. This is unrelated to Dino Fury. I'm sorry, but like, today I was talking with my friend. And we were talking about, oh man, remember, we were talking about insert themes. And then my friend was like, she was like, remember when PR had insert themes? I was like, yes. And I was like, I started listening to all of them, like from MMPR and like the In Space ones. Like, so good. And I miss that. I miss when it was like, serotonin was injected into my veins when I would watch Power Rangers. Like, I'm not saying it isn't now. It's just like a very small dosage.
It's to arc back to what you said earlier about overhype and stuff. I think Dino Fury, more than any season as of recent, has really been decisive. TBH, fans of it
like decisively overhyped or decisively just
decisive in the opinions, because I've seen people like, God, this show fucking sucks. It spits on what Ryu Soldier ever did. It's bad Power Rangers, blah, blah, blah. And I like, those people are bad, but I can agree there are some people that are like, absolutely dick ride this show. And I'm saying that because I dick ride this show. And I will be fully transparent with that.
You know what? Self-awareness is key. But it's not even
it's also to a point where like, it's both that I really love the show, but at the same time, I'm not gonna go into venting here earlier, like sad sappy times.
Please don't vent in the podcast.
I'm not venting in the podcast chat, but it's just like, oh man, I feel like sometimes I just have to compensate or like justify me just liking Dino Fury because I have friends that are Ryu Soldier fans.
Really?
Yes.
Other people? Dude.
I'm sorry, Jacob. There are others.
Dude, we were gonna sing that gay song together.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right, and like, it's odd to me, right? Because majority of the people I'm friends with, I feel, I'm probably like, well,
you're friends with a lot of Dino Fury fans.
Yeah, and it's odd to me because like I'm close with a lot of people who don't like Ryu Soldier or haven't even watched it, so it's odd to me. And, you know, not counting Twitter, there's a lot of Ryu Soldier fans on Twitter.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. It's such a special show to me, right? And not saying Dino Fury spits on it. 100% it doesn't. Dino Fury does great with what they...
Yeah.
I also don't really take much from Ryu Soldier, but...
I think people are too conditioned by, like, things like Time Force or Wild Force. Because people, like, sure, there can be cases where they just want to feel like, oh, this story was good. We don't feel like changing it. But like, for the most part, Power Rangers has always kind of been original. And I feel like people don't really think about that a lot.
On the flip side, though, you could argue it's kind of just they are adapting the Sentai. It's not, how do I word this? It's an original way of doing the Sentai, in a sense, because it's like, take Ninja Storm, for example. It's basically the same thing as Hurricaneger. They just changed the central villain out for Lothor. And, like, all right, segue. So, you know, Ninja Storm, kind of similar, basically is. But then you get something like Dino Thunder, where it's completely different, I would argue, with Mesogog and what's her name, Elsa. And Zeltrax is, I think, Zeltrax is kind of similar. I haven't seen Abba Ranger. But, you know, it's a different story, completely. Yeah. But then, you know, you get Overdrive, where it's basically just Bokenger, but the villains aren't really that good, frankly. But, you know, Dino Fury is a weird case, because it's like, the villains are still there. They just added a main villain to tie them all together in Void Knight, I feel. I think I'm wording that right.
I think people are just expect too much out of Power Rangers.
I don't even know what I was trying to say there.
I don't know. I think people just expect too much out of Power Rangers when it comes to Sentai, because I feel like people are just forgetting that, like, hey, it's not the Sentai. They have the suits, they have the monsters, they have the Zords, but it's not the same show. Yeah.
And that's part of the appeal. That is, like, one of the reasons I love Power Rangers, is that it can be so radically different. And obviously, you know, there are sometimes I'm like, you should have kept it. But at the same time, I'm like, no, be different. Yeah. And, you know,
it's just like, at the same time,
about this. The Sentai's still there.
Yeah.
It's not gone.
I always hate that mentality of, like, this X thing came out, so, like, I can never watch this thing.
You guys ruined Gokaiger. Like, no, they didn't.
Like Build V Cinemas came out. It's like, bro, they ruined Build, blah blah, and it's like, I can't watch Build's ending no more, or just any dumb shit like that. Like, also, like, just people being like, oh, if characters are brought back in a V Cinema, that ruins everything from their show. And it's just it's happened recently with just like Hugh Jackman being in the MCU ruins Logan. It's
Oh,
like,
I
no,
was
the fuck
talking
it
about that with
doesn't.
somebody today.
I hate it. I hate that take, and it's just like, bro, the movie is still there. Go
The
watch
movie's
Logan.
still there, and like, if you want an explanation, they'll probably make a joke about it that explains it. It's not that deep. No, but you're right. It's like, that wasn't me trying to disregard you, like that little, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're right, because it's like, the movie's there. You're fine.
Nothing.
Kevin
nothing
Feige's going to
can,
break into your house and steal it.
Nothing
you know?
can initially ruin things that are set up in the past unless you fucking let it. Like unless you let it hurt you personally.
Like, I love Go Busters. First Sentai, so I'm going to love it. Beast Morphers didn't ruin it for me. It just made me upset that it ruined the idea of a Power Rangers Go Busters adaptation, if that makes sense. Like, it ruined the idea, because now I'm like, oh, this is what they did? Like, no. But it's not like it's gone. I can still go watch Go Busters. I can still go watch... No, I actually like a lot of Power Rangers seasons equally to the Sentai.
The biggest case. Easily the biggest case I hate. Because it's also just because I like the movie. But, like, even if I didn't like the movie, I'd still argue this. The O's 10th. People love to shout about how the O's 10th ruins O's. And it's just like, go watch O's again. Just go fucking watch O's.
They just ruined whatever comes after O's. They didn't ruin O's the show.
And it's just like going back to Power Rangers of like, oh, this ruins the Sentai. Like, no, you can always watch the Sentai. You don't even have to watch the show. And like, people really forget that like, the show is not made for you. It is made for my 5-year-old little brother downstairs trying to do anything like eat glue or some shit. Like, it's not made for you. My little brother does not know what a Ryu soldier is. All right.
Hey, at least say it right. God. It's actually Dino Knight Squadron. Something soldier.
They do not know Ryu from Streets.
It's Ryu from Soul.
But
do you feel...
Oh, go ahead.
feel like... So, this goes deep into Dino Fury for a second. So, the Green Morphin Master, bane of everybody's existence. You know, as it magically turns out, like, you know, Eric's in poverty because of her, like...
Yeah, the Magna Defender died for her sins.
Yeah, and, like, you know, she caused Captain Mitchell's car crash. But, so this goes into my point of, you know, all those jokes, which are funny. Those jokes were hilarious. But,
very fun morning
sorry.
Twitter.
So, like, the show, one of my main problems with Dino Fury and more Hasbro era as a whole, you know, the two shows, they really love, like, referencing, which isn't a bad thing, but half the time, right, I feel that it takes up a lot of the show itself. Like Beast Morphers, the entire second half is devoted to references, I feel. And references, I mean the Dino team up.
No, because like the second half is basically just like, okay, this is no longer Beast Morphers, this is RPM 2.
yeah, exactly. Dr. K, what's his name, Colonel Truman.
Vengeance is Evox.
Don't get me started. Oh, it was obvious. No, it was fucking stupid. They shouldn't have done it. Shut up.
It was obvious. It was obvious if you were in the fandom and heard that old pitch from like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was obvious if you were a Chiplin Dick Rider, but besides the point. God. I'm so mad. Anyways, so Dino Fury. Kind of the same issue, a little bit less, but at the same time, honestly, more, I would argue.
I don't have an issue with it. Like, I ultimately think it's harmless. Like, I know a lot of people are like, man, the Green Morphin Master doing everything is so fucking stupid.
It's not so much that is my problem. It's more Lord Zed. Lord Zed is like half a problem because it's like I'm fine that he's there, but at the same time he takes up a lot of the show that they could have used to spend time on like other stuff in Dino Fury.
I'm not too like, again. I think it's ultimately harmless because I look at Zed less of like, he's supposed to be one of the big bads of Dino Fury, but more so they use him a lot for storytelling. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
he found out where Rafcon is, so now we can find
Yeah,
out where Rafcon is.
what he does isn't bad. It's just more like, why is it him? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And I
it
know,
could have
and I
easily
know
been a
it's-
different character.
Mm. And then I think probably my biggest issue is the whole not devoted episode, but there's an entire section of an episode devoted to them going, hey, remember the legendary battle? Yeah, that was the Green Morphin Master. Hey, remember that meteor that almost hit Devon? Yeah, that was the Green Morphin Master. Like, I feel it's not so much that they answered
Honestly,
questions. It's questions that nobody was caring about. I feel. I personally wasn't caring.
I think it's just their answer, like, because like obviously, Solon has that line of like, "Is there more you did?" And she's like, "Yeah," but like I'm not going to spend another like 5 minutes in the rest of the episode.
Yeah, I'm not going to take up more.
So obviously, like they suggested that she did more. So it's just them saying like, "Oh, whenever something didn't make sense, like Robo Knight." You have a mission to fulfill. That was probably her, bro. She fulfilled Robo Knight's mission. She gave Troy the super punch.
It's just more like, why is Simon Bennett? I'm talking about him. Here he is, Simon Bennett. Oh, Simon Bennett.
I will admit,
Simon Bennett.
Before you pop off, I'll say my piece. So you have your rant. I want to give you your deserved time.
Thank you.
I think there's two halves. There's definitely two halves. Three chunks. One is old heads that dick ride everything he does.
Yes.
Like, absolutely everything he does. Two, I think there are people that genuinely just nitpick every little thing he says just to find, like, some kind of flaw or issue with the show. Which I hate both sides. I hate the dick riders, and I hate the people that are like, oh, you say this, but when, like, episode 17, this happens. And it's just like, shut up. Just go. It's like, who cares? But, and then the last third is, it is very easy to see that, like, Simon Bennett, I don't know. It's taking some kind of effect on him. Like, it's very clearly taking some kind of effect on him. And it's crazy because when the show first started, he was fun.
He barely talked.
No, he was so fun whenever he was around. Of like stuff of like when people. I remember there's the situations I remember. It's just done people being like, "Oh man, is he being gay? Ew!" Or like, "Oh no, they were forced by liberals to put it in," and he's just like, "Actually, no, this was always planned. You're just weird." And it's like, yeah, those days are fun.
Yeah. Get those guys.
But like, there's just a lot of cases now of like not every little post, but like a lot of posts that say even like a thing about Dino Fury that people are unsure about. He's there to answer questions, and in cases that could honestly be good. Of like, oh man, I was really wondering how so and so worked, and he's just like, oh yeah, this is how it worked. But it's just like, yeah, it's like, oh man, I hate this, and he's just like, well, no.
Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Basically. I don't know if he does this for sure. I feel like he does just based on evidence. Not like physical evidence, but just the way you look at the way he responds to things. He 100%
are you saying
like,
looks up Dino
searches
Fury?
the name. Yes, he looks it up.
Honestly,
he looks at his name.
I don't. People say that a lot is a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing.
I'm
to
not
want
trying
to
to
look
say
up
it's
your
a bad
show.
thing. It's more like
a lot. I'm not saying you are, but a lot of people have like, oh, you just like sit on Twitter all day and look up your show.
Yeah, I'm not saying
it's just like, yeah, he makes
like,
the fucking show. Like, of course, he's gonna look it up.
It's more just like, why are you looking at? It's odd that he like. It's just weird what he chooses and chooses not to respond to. And maybe I'm just mad because he never responds to me. But that's. But my thing is, this guy Simon Bennett. This is the rant. I don't know if it's gonna be a big rant, but I was talking with a friend about this. My friend Tay. Tay and I were talking, and Simon is taking time out of his show to explain things that other writers did. That should not be Simon's priority, to explain things that happened like 3 to 5 years ago. His focus should be on the show and making it good. And, fixing, like, not fixing. It should be on making the moments in that show that are good better. And, like, he is so, like, sometimes when he interacts with the fandom, it's either positive, and then other times like he just says things that don't make sense, and then he immediately like says like a snarky comment and gets immediately that like not
Like,
hundreds, but gets a couple dick rides, and it's like a couple dick rides, jeez. But like he just like he snarks at the fandom and then complains that like he goes, "Oh, you guys just don't get it. I'm gonna go work on the show." But then like a couple days later, he starts back responding. I'm not trying to tell him how to do his job, how to live his life. It's not that. It's more just
honestly,
I don't know. It's a little bit hypocritical, and I know
I'm
this is really the
just
point of the podcast.
It's definitely. I think it was inevitable to bring up because definitely how vocal he is being is like everywhere in Dino Fury discussion, even if people are just talking about the show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's inevitable to bring up. Honestly, I'm just annoyed by all of it. I think people care too much, and if people are really like, I'm annoyed that Simon Bennett is like talking about everything, or I'm like that, just don't talk to him. And if he responds to you, just don't fucking say anything back.
That'd be the funny thing to do.
It's just like, oh well, if he tells you how something went on the show, you just be like, and complain about it to your friends or something. Like, I'm tired of seeing everyone just being like blah 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 this and that, and sometimes it's about stuff that I think honestly does not matter at all. Like, I know this was a big thing, people talked about it of like, oh, it's a big part of Power Rangers and stuff, like the whole civilian fight debacle. My take, I do not give a fuck. I know a lot of people feel differently. It's like, oh, but they're the cast, the original cast, and it's just like, they have enough original fights that portray the characters' personalities good enough that I do not care, and I'm satisfied.
Here's my thing with that. And I noticed I wasn't trying to look for it. It just kind of happened that I was looking for it. I was trying to look at like, okay, how many civilian fights are maybe in the show? It's not a lot, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but a lot of the time, this is kind of like this isn't like on the fandom. This is more just on the show itself. And I'm not calling it a fault. It's more just like me going, why did they do it like this, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of the times in Dino Fury specifically, they just morph immediately. Like, there's no little, there's no fight with the henchmen or whatever, what have you. They just morph immediately. There's not even a lot of fights with the henchmen themselves. They immediately just go to fighting the monsters. Which isn't a bad thing, really. But it's like, a lot of the time, there could be unmorphed fights. They just choose not to. Like, there's one moment I remember in these last 10 episodes, when the episode where they're in Japan, right? And there's a part where they run up and morph to fight henchmen. And I'm like, you couldn't make that a civilian fight? I'm not saying that would have improved the episode, right? But it's more like, why didn't you, I'm not saying this to be like, oh, civilian fights dramatically improve the show. It's more like missed opportunities, I feel. That would have like... But the argument itself, with that whole thing, it was kind of just like...
I think it was stupid on all sides, TBH.
Yeah, because the main tweet
they need to have
him
fights.
He misses it. He's just missing them. And then Simon's like, well, from the production side. It's like, that wasn't the point of the tweet, Simon. Like, and like then people, drag on him a bit. I know I didn't drag on him. I just made I put my 2 cents in there. Because his logic didn't make sense, I feel, personally. But then, it keeps going and going with everybody else. And obviously I'm going to defend myself, but like, you get what I'm saying. Like, regardless, the discussion keeps going, and then it ends with him going, I'm going to take a break from the fandom. And then it's like, he posts a snide remark to somebody, oh, they just don't get it. It's like, I don't know, choose a lane, dude, and fandom, relax. It's not that deep.
It's like,
the original guy didn't do anything wrong.
If it's really how it works, how come they just don't instantly go to their Megazords and stomp on them?
Yes, that was my thing.
Jake, no offense to you, Jacob, but I think that's
that was just me.
Like, I couldn't tell if you were like fucking with him or something. Like, oh, I'm saying this just to like mess with you.
I was saying it because it's like, his logic is obviously they're gonna morph immediately, right? That's how I've used his logic. You can whatever it was. I don't remember now, but like.
Yeah, that was his thing.
They
it was
should
just
morph immediately.
Why not just be in a morph state so they can fight them easily?
Yeah. So why not just call the giant robots? And he's like, well, then there's no show. And then I'm like, okay, same principle.
I was like, that's not. I honestly, I see the logic because like
Mm-hmm.
if I was watching this show, I'm like, all right, man, I can't wait to see them transform and fight. And they just run into the monster and they're just like, so long, call him the fucking Zord and stomp on him, and then the show fucking ends. It's like, oh, okay, I just watched something.
Because like he acts like they haven't done that before. Like that was the thing I was most annoyed at. He was like, they've not saying he said that, but like I feel like he implied it's never happened when like they did it in Dino Charge. They used the Ultra Zord to blow a Peckle actually, and like there's that part. This is more just me being funny, right? But like there's that part in Green with Evil where Tommy's beating the shit out of the four Rangers without Jason, and then they're like, fuck it, Alpha, we need the Zords, and they just call him the Megazord on Tommy. And they're like, yeah, Tommy, how do you like this? And he just leaves. But they go through the whole effort of calling the Megazord to fight this regular ass dude. I make myself laugh at something stupid, but the
honestly,
point is,
to try to gravitate more into the discussion of like the actual show.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I think this is a fun part to have.
Yeah.
I think as a whole, the Dino Fury like show story characters, like you said, it's been an improvement over a lot of things we've had of recent. But I think in general, it's, in my opinion, I know a lot of people, old heads, new heads, everyone alike are probably going to think it's tough or a bold take. I think it's honestly one of the best stories / characters Power Rangers has had in a while. Like, I am attached to Zato, I am attached to Izzy, Ion, and I know people don't really like Javi and Ollie, but I love them too.
I love Ollie. Ollie's my favorite character.
A lot of people like to shit talk both Ollie and Javi because man, they don't do anything in the team.
I agree. I agree with the Javi complaints only because there's so much potential that they missed there. I feel personally like I feel like there's a lot they could have done that just didn't happen. And everyone else, fine. There's a lot of. It's more just I wish they did more. Like, I don't really like what Ion became. I feel like he kind of fell off a bit. But honestly, I
don't know what everyone else thinks. Actually, I do know what everyone else thinks, and I disagree. Because ever since like the first half of season 2, it's like, man, Ion really fell off. Ion sucks, and I was like, bro, he's not that bad. I love Ion. Yeah, I love Ion the entire way through. He's honestly one of my favorite 6, and there is definitely a bias. I have to admit, there's definitely a bias because I like seeing myself represented in the like race, ethnicity, terms of character, and also I fucking met the guy. So like, there's obviously a bias to be had, but just in general, I love Ion and I love Zato, the first team to have 2 black Rangers on the team, which I love.
I'm gonna come out and say it. I don't think Zato is that great, but I feel that's most because it's missed potential of really like. It's I wish he was better because it's an interesting idea of this guy. His team is gone, or his team was gone, but he finds this new team. They don't really, and it's Power Rangers. They don't have to go deep with that, but like, it's more just like what could have been,
Yeah.
For what he is, he's fine. But I
will say my one complaint with the show, like I said earlier, Power Rangers is my Sentai. It's the show I can turn on and love. And love, like, oh, it's so goofy and fun, and the villains can be goofy and fun and say goofy stuff, and I love it. But at the same time, when it has
the way the banter this season is like
it's top great.
Tier.
It's phenomenal.
Hilarious. Not like I went ha ha ha. It was just like, oh, that was funny,
Yeah. But it's just like,
call it corny, but I'm like, no, they're using like stuff I would say.
Like that, and also this is the same series that fucking created More Phenomenal and Telescopular. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Don't talk bad about Overdrive.
Oh no,
that's my Dino Fury.
But yeah, I just, even though I think it's it's my Sentai, it can be goofy and fun, and I love it for that. It can also have really good stories. Like just writing that I find myself so invested in. Like everything, including the Garcia family, like Izzy, Javi, the relationship with their parents, Izzy and Fern, all of that. Every single episode has either gotten me to full out cry or just tear up. Like I will admit, especially everything with Javi and his dad, all of that stuff hits in a close place, dude.
Do you feel how do you feel about the Izzy and Fern relationship? Because I saw a lot of people going, it was good, but then I feel like they could have focused on it more or did more with Fern specifically. I know you and Quasar were talking about that. And I agree what was going on there, but I also saw some other people saying they could have done more.
Think
what are your thoughts on the relationship as a whole? On like,
I understand where it's coming from. I understand where it's coming from. Of like, Fern is actually that's track that down the list. One thing that could be done better for representation is just outright stating what their sexualities are. Because of course, women loving women, yeah, they're sapphics, but what does that exactly entail? Are they lesbian? Are they bi? Are they pan? And like, if it's stated somewhere, please tell me. Because I don't know, Simon Bennett could have said it in one of like 10,000 replies he's made. People are like, I'm not going to go out of my way to look for that shit. But like that just outright saying it in the show that would already be like easily a step up for how the representation is. But I think in general, I understand where people are coming from. Of like, Fern is a sapphic, so she deserves to have more focus, and I agree to an extent. And it's I feel like it's basically, if Fern gets more screen time, then all the other side characters do too. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, okay, we have this one character deserves more screen time because they're related to a character. But like, yeah, all the other side characters are too. Like, sure, she may be a love interest, but like, the warden and Dr. Akana, all these characters like that have familial relationships. There's Jayborg and Jane. Like you can't just exclude the other ones because like we don't even know their sexualities. We don't even know their sexualities, bro. Jane could be outright fucking gay. So
technically this season is actually good because Jayborg is from Operation Overdrive.
I was gonna if you ever gonna bring that up. What was it called? The Hardwell Foundation. I forgot his name entirely.
Hartford Industries, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And they say once a ranger is always a ranger. It is so. They said it.
Honestly,
they get me every time. I've seen that only twice.
Even though the crystal power thing, like they all have rangers with crystal powers, I'm surprised that no one talked about Overdrive because I know their powers don't come from the crystal, but it's like they spent the entire show looking for some fucking crystals. They have to know something.
Yeah, people just don't care. I'm the only... I made a joke about being the only Ryu Soldier fan. Might actually be the only diehard Overdrive fan. Low key. I love that show.
But yeah, I just think, like... If Fern gets more screen time, everyone else does too. And then, so that's... Either that's a benefit or that's a trade-off, depending on how you like the side characters.
And I don't... No... Jane and Jayborg are actually like, I don't like them when I watch the show, but when I think about them, I'm like, yeah, they're
I think they're one of the better comedic duos we've had.
That is a weird effect. Like, side tangent, like just going, oh yeah, I don't like this when I watch it, but then when I think about it, I'm like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Do you get that? Do you get that sometimes?
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that's a good point.
But like, aside from that, I had this point with Quasar of like, there's been so many. I feel like there's been so many characters in just media as a whole that only are one note love interests, and a lot of them are heterosexual. So like for becoming a part of normalization of just seeing more LGBT stuff in media is having stuff like that of like, yes, you can have something completely complex like Lumity, Luz and Amity in the Owl House. Or you could have, like, this is just like a side character for the show meant to serve a purpose. Like having all of that range, I think, is what will help make it more normal more than it should be. Or I don't know more. Should use the word, but like it's a great part of normalization, especially in kids media, because I know a lot of like I guess more mature media, teens media, adult media, they have already gone all over the place with it.
Yeah, it's quite. I feel like it's
there's a lot of
pretty
options if you
basic
want
to
to see
see.
that stuff.
Not
But
basic, but
like
it's normal
kids
to see.
media, it's definitely become more prevalent in kids media, but it still could it could always be bigger because it still can feel pretty small. And so the jump with that with like something like a new Disney show could start up of like Owl House, Amphibia. Those start like they're not franchises.
Yeah.
Like, so they can just kind of have this stuff. I feel, but like with Power Rangers, it's something that's has 30 years and so many side pieces of content of like all this different stuff, and I feel like there's a difference of like, here's this new show that I want to have gay stuff.
Do you think it's like? Do you think it took too long for PR to do it, or do you think this is like, this
honestly,
is
I always
this is like
think
a normal time
when it comes to like progressiveness, I always think when it comes to franchises, it's always gonna feel too long, because for people that are of those demographics, it's always gonna feel overdue, and I never think you can be like, it's the right time to introduce it. Like, I've wanted a Black Six Ranger for so long, bro. I'm every time I think about it, bro, I just get happy, but. It's just
I've been waiting for a Jacob Power Ranger too.
For real, I've been.
That was a joke. I'm not trying to
I've been.
I just want a guy named Jacob. That's all I want.
I just been feeling like there's a difference between I'm starting this new show that has like nothing to do with anything of the network or like other stuff, and I want to have gay people in it. Like, easy, fine. Then going to like this franchise that has such a long pre-established history of like, I want to add this to your franchise now. And it's like, of course, they've had it in the comics. There's been LGBT characters in the comics, but like, 5-year-old Timmy hasn't read fucking Shattered Grid, bro.
2017 movie, but like, that didn't end well. The 2017 movie is actually really underrated. I don't know why they.
Oh my god! No, we're gonna blow up 1,000 views on this one. I'm feeling it now. Thanks, we did it. But like
the 2017 movie. Can you put them in the thumbnail?
That would be so funny. Oh, I might just do that. But yeah, it's just like because you gotta think about whenever it comes to power, like putting something in the Power Rangers. As much as we love representation, as much as we love representation in the side content, it's basically like, it's cool, but it's not gonna count unless it's in one of the main TV shows.
I have a friend who's like that. Like, he doesn't count anything from the comics or like any of that unless it's in the show.
Yeah, I'm not like that. Or like I don't know how your friend is. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. But like, I count it in my head. But it's just like you have to think about it. Of like, if you're talking about kids media, like specifically the stuff kids are gonna see, other stuff doesn't count because they're not gonna consume that.
He meant more just the lore stuff. He wasn't saying,
fair enough.
Representation doesn't count.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
he was
yeah.
Talking about like. The fucking morphin. Oh, that's a whole.
It's not gonna count unless it's in the show for the actual kids to see.
Mm.
Which honestly, I'm interested in seeing. Because I want to see how my little siblings just see Izzy and Fern. Because that's such an interesting concept. Which the conversation about kids media and introducing them to those concepts. That's a whole different can of worms.
We do not trying to get into the can of worms. I don't know if this will get us into the can of worms, but it's interesting to like, to me, I'm like, I'm used to it, but then, not like saying I'm not used to it for Power Rangers because it's like, it's whatever, right? But it's like, all right, Izzy's gay, that's fine, great. But then like, I wonder how the kids feel. Is it the same thing for them where they're like just used to it, or are they gonna be like?
That's the thing, because like the one thing I have been thinking about. The one thing I have been thinking about was Simon Bennett. If Simon Bennett said on Twitter of like, kids don't like kisses, they'll say, ew, yuck.
Bro, you all in a music kiss. What's he trying to say?
I was like, so what he meant is that two girls kissing, kids are gonna be like, yuck. No, I'm not claiming that Simon Bennett is homophobic. Disclaimer. He is the one that fought for Izzy.
I was actually shocked they had Ollie and Amelia kiss. I was actually like,
honestly, I'm shocked that those two
flabbergasted.
ever became a couple. Honest, I know there was foreshadowing, but it's just like, oh look, they're making fun of shippers or something.
I not even like I wanted them to get together, but then like they got together. I'm like, oh, that's nice. They're not
Like
even like
it's a cute little thing.
it's chill too. It's not like, oh my god, I gotta go hang out with my boyfriend Ollie. It's like they're just chill
Honestly,
dating.
I love it because it also gave Ollie something else to do. TBH, like I love Ollie. I love Ollie, and I know people hate on him, but I have to admit he is one of the weaker members of the team. And all
How
basically
dare
his entire thing is like, guys, science.
God.
And whenever he's not science, he's just
Guys?
like, Amelia, you're fucking stupid. but now he has a new thing of like, Amelia, I love you.
He's a wife guy.
2 wife guys, dude. We did it.
Like,
Void
there's
honestly,
two wife-
Void Knight is one of my favorite like villain / characters in the franchise. Not for just he is the one character that never willingly falls into like the funny banter, the Izzy banter. So it's just everyone else around him does it, and he's just kind of annoyed of everyone, and I think that's so funny.
I love those moments where he's like, he tells them to shut up, but it's also in with the banter in a way.
Yeah.
You want to know what the funniest bit was?
Shut up.
No, it's no, it's the part in the second Lord Zed episode in the second half of season 2 where they're like he's working with the machine they got from Rafcon, and like Void King's like, why did you betray us? And he's like, well, he had better health plans, like dental or whatever. And then that he's like, you don't even have teeth. And then he's like, oh yeah. I don't know. That's not really Void Knight specific, but it's just him like going, you don't even have teeth.
If I had
And then the monster dies, and then he's
Oh
like,
my
oh,
God,
I don't
yeah.
have teeth.
if there's one problem I can say I have with the show is as much as I love like, or I'm a very much a person that's like, oh, I like to take what's in the writing, or like I love to mostly just make things from the writing, which I could be very headcanon based sometimes. It really feels like Dino Fury is a season where I almost feel like I'm physically watching the struggle between a kid's show and someone wanting to tell a story.
I kind of agree.
Because just like there's a lot of things. It's just like God, like they have so many interesting and like deep concepts that I feel like are in the show. They definitely are in the show. And then it's like we go back to the fight and the monster is like, what's good, besties?
What's cooking?
Like especially I think Ion might be the biggest thing. And not to say Ion is bad. I don't think Ion's bad at all. But Ion to me is a very interesting case of like his mentality of being like a prodigy knight and like thinking he knows it all and thinking because of the situation where he's like, I knew better of not to release the Sporix Beast, and that's what fucked over our entire civilization. And like I want stuff like that to be delved into more, but at the same time I understand why they don't want to be like, look, little Timmy, look at his PTSD. Look at his fucking trauma.
Look, he has a complex that he's better.
And like, oh man, yeah, that's stuff for the Sentai and the writers and blah blah blah. But like, it's so interesting to see stuff like that, especially with Zato. Every bit of it,
Zato's such a missed opportunity.
Every bit of it we got with Zato, I
struggle.
absolutely loved. Of like, oh man, I act like this because my previous team died, or I act like this because I believed I was a good leader and I fucked up, and that led to our civilization getting messed up.
I think if this was like an earlier season, like I don't know, like around Time Force, like early Disney era, or just Disney era in general, because that's the best era. That is a fact, and I'm gonna keep it that way. But anyways, I hate when people do that, but I do it. That's not the point. I think if we were in one of those seasons, I think we would have seen more on his like PTSD of like, my team's dead, And I don't know. I feel like we didn't get those episodes where it's like the red and whatever other color bond together. I think there's a few, but like, I don't know. I feel like this would have been the perfect season to do that, because it's like this guy whatever they said, 35 million years or
Yeah,
something.
65
He's
million because
learning.
dinosaurs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're like, it gives him opportunity to bond with them, and then you can lead into the footage of them using their color combo Megazord or whatever it is, or the
Yeah,
specific combo with that Ranger. But that's not the point. It's more
honestly,
just I wish this was an earlier season. I feel like we would
yeah.
have gotten that
Honestly,
development
I agree with you.
or
I agree with you to
expansion.
an extent. That is it's a missed opportunity, and ultimately, like I still love the show regardless. But
Yeah.
it's also interesting because that panel or not panel that photo came out of like the staff team's like concept board back in 2019 when Rio
Yeah.
Soldier was still airing, and the original Zato Kit, yeah, fucking Kit. That was his
Kit.
name.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I
god, he was
think
the real
because
Dragon
he
Knight.
had they had a like it was like a relationship chart of all the characters, and Kit had like so much, like
Yeah.
it was linked to Ollie or Zeke originally, and it's like these two are gonna have a brotherly friendship, and link over to Amelia and him and Amelia were gonna have a fascination with one another's cultures and stuff, and then a link to Javi and him and Javi was originally gonna have like a I should be the
Like,
leader complex thing
yeah, and he was supposed to
that
be like
kind of went
heavy
to
metal.
Ion. Yeah, he's gonna try to be the leader, and it linked to Izzy or Parker, and it was like these two are good friends, but their priorities are ultimately in different places, and then that's why they have conflict.
Mm.
And it's just like, oh man, like Zato was originally planned to have very distinct relationships with each of them.
It does seem too like specifically with that that version of the writing. It does seem like Zato was supposed to be a younger character. Like Zato does come off as older than the rest of the team. I feel
No,
not
no,
just
no, no,
because
no.
like
Oh, I'll say this is a nitpick because ultimately I don't care.
mm,
It is very jarring in some scenes where Zato takes out the monster and the monster's like, "I got taken out by a teenager," and it's like, "That's not a fucking
yeah.
teenager."
When this guy's like 30 years old. No offense, Russell. No offense if you're listening. We know you're a big fan. But but oh, this is a side thing. I love the thing, and like I think it's the first season where he's just like password. Zato is cool. I think it's funny. That's it.
Yeah,
And I like the little callback at the end of this season where he's like they morph and he's like smooth. I like that. But besides the point, going back to the early stages of Dino Fury, there's a lot there that it obviously this is what happened because they said it is, and I'm pretty sure they said it. But it's like they wrote that while the Sentai was still going, so that's why you see the whole he has a leader or Damien has a leader complex, or like you know who is it Parker isn't in the right priority because like that's how Toa was at the start of the season. He's just kind of wanting to be the strongest, basically. So a lot changed. One thing I really missed, I liked they had Ollie's mom or Zeke's mom wanting to adopt Zato at the end, or Kit rather, and I don't know. That would have been a really not like I want to call it a cute thing, but that would have been something neat where it's like this is your home now, you know?
yeah. Also, it's really interesting to see that it really seems like Amelia's entire twist and thing was planned from the beginning, and like it doesn't feel like that in the episodes, but I think it's very telling, like on that storyboard, that like Amelia
I
was the
don't.
only character that had their name. The entire
I'll say
backstory with the
this.
missing parents was set up. Pop
I
Pop's
don't
name
think
was
it was
set.
supposed to be. I don't think it was supposed to be Void Knight or Void Queen originally. I don't think it was
Yeah,
supposed
it
to be
was
them
it
because
was because it
otherwise,
was Ken and Olivia.
yeah. But it would. I think it would have been on the board if they had gone. It would have been obviously. They can have multiple boards. I'm not saying this was the final board, but you get what I mean. Like, I think it would have been there if it was a. That's one thing I don't like. Not. I hate the idea. It's more just the execution I feel is poor, because like this kind of goes to Simon Bennett, but this guy's like, it was hinted at throughout the show. Not really.
I
It
do
was
think
hinted that her parents were aliens, but it wasn't hinted that it was Void Queen or Void Knight.
I do think it's like a natural progression with the hints of like, okay, this is the start of the mystery. Here's a little bit
Mm.
more. Here's a little bit more. Here's a bigger connection if you haven't made the connection yet, and then boom, yeah, they reveal it.
Mm. I agree. It's more like, I just don't like that it's. I don't get why they're from Rafcon. I get it ties everything together, I guess, but it's it's just weird.
Honestly, I am fine that it's from Rafcon because I feel like if it wasn't, it would have been like actually Void Knight and his wife were from Aquitar or KO35 or something.
True. That's a good point.
Or whatever the fuck is from.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. You're right.
It's gonna be some shit tying it to something else.
It's just, I guess, then that would have been more of my problem. But I don't know. Well, I don't know how to word what my problem is because I don't think it's not a bad idea. It's more just they said there was hints, but I feel like the hints are just not that good. Or like there's a connection between Amelia and Void Knight, buddy. They barely even talk or fight each other. I think that's the whole thing. I think it's just they said there's stuff, but you watch the show, there isn't.
What's funny to me? What's funny to me?
There's low key stuff.
Honestly,
stuff. It's not direct.
Something that's funny to me, and it's completely my head in the gutters, but I think it's funny.
Oh God,
bro, listen. That when Void Knight finally brought back his wife, of just like my love, you're back. You finally woke up from your chamber, and then it cuts to the next episode, and Mucus and like Slither are like, man. What's going on? There's just been a lot of sounds, and he hasn't come out of his little chamber for hours, bro. The second he got her back, he got straight to action.
Why do you think she was pregnant after the time skip?
That's also funny to me. Of like, you know what? The conflict is over. Straight to it. Let's go. My man Tarek has priorities, bro.
Nah, it's crazy because Lucas was like, Void Queen's my mom, and then Void Queen just. Oh my god!
I wanted to talk about that. I
actually like that.
I love Mucus. I love Mucus, even because like Mucus is portrayed the entire time of like, yeah, she's basically like a tag along for the villains. None of them respect her. None of them love her. And it's just like, I'm surprised.
Void Knight likes her.
That would have been the best way, honestly, to hint at Amelia and.
Oh my god, you're so right.
Like, what if like?
Why didn't they?
What if they set up the entire thing of Cleon seeing Void Queen and Void Knight as like parents, and then they kind of start to adapt the whole thing of Cleon being good in Rio Soldier, with Amelia of like, oh. Amelia, I could see us being friends or sisters or something.
I think that's the thing, too. It's like, those two never... I guess because they thought she was dead, but they never go, oh, we miss our daughter. And I guess it would have ruined the twist, but, like...
Yeah.
That's another point, I think, about it.
It could have...
They never say anything
there was
they bring it up.
It could have been... It could have been easy with Void Knight, I'd say. Like, once he started 100%. To finally turn heel... For Void Queen is like, actually, I've been doing all this because not only did I lose my wife, but I lost my child. Because it said he was all vague of like, I doomed this because I wanted to. Fuck you.
I do like his turn. I do like that he's like, why are we fighting the humans? I like that. I do think that's interesting.
I love that he's like, oh yeah, the goal was never to hurt humans. It was just unfortunately a side effect. Like, oh yeah, when he was solely focused on getting his wife back, he overlooked everything because he was like blinded by rage and shit. But, like once Void Queen actually came back and he was like, okay, we're sending out monsters. Wait a minute, I'm kind of fucking over people. Uh-oh. It's good. Yeah. I really love it's like, okay, now that he actually has like the reason for his motivation back, now he actually like his eyes are open and he can see all the problems he's caused.
Yeah.
I love One Night. They're great characters. A lot of characters. So that's the thing. I complain about like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that I think is like missed potential of like how deep the characters can truly be. But, like, at the end of the day, I'll just have my headcanons anyway. So,
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely love all this stuff. Oh, Amelia. Every time Amelia got sad about her parents, I think those are Amelia's and Hunter Deno's easily, like, the best scenes she had. Like, the episodes with the wishes, and it's just like, yeah, your wishes came true, but mine didn't. Honestly, I thought that was where a hint was going to be. like, oh, this is gonna be an episode where Void King and Void Queen go out to fight the Rangers together, and Amelia's gonna be like, oh man, not these two, and that was gonna be like, oh, her wish became fulfilled,
Oh, that
but
was
she didn't know
smart.
it. But they kind of
Yeah.
didn't. That's a missed opportunity.
That's kind of like a lot of, not it's like a lot of Dino Fury, but it's kind of just like they could have, but they didn't. Like,
Also,
I know people are like talking about Ryusou Brown getting done, and I'm not saying I wanted it. It was just more like, yeah, they could have, but they just didn't, which isn't a bad thing, but it more so wouldn't have made sense anyways. Not the
yeah.
point, but it's a lot of I think there's a lot of stuff. I also just have nitpicky stuff that's just Dino Fury being like a modern Power Rangers season, but that's like neither here nor there. Like, I don't like the Zord. I don't like the cockpits. I'm sick of them. They're boring. But there's other stuff too, but that's not really super important.
Honestly, like I think it's a really good season. I'd say it's damn near perfect.
The
And
music's good.
I like it, and it's just there's a lot of stuff that I think we're expanded. But again, my head canon's at the end of the day. But it's just like, oh, I love little stuff. Oh, that entire finale. I know a lot of people are starting to hate because obviously
Hey,
that's just how things go. That's just how things go.
When have I ever hated on something?
Yeah, Jacob, you're clean. But like it's just I love the final two episodes. I love the Rafconians coming in and like, oh man, we see that humans are good. Like the new generation Rafconians that are like treat Zato and Ion as legends.
That was cool, honestly. Them showing up.
Like, oh, they treat Zato and Ion
It's a
like
basic motivation,
legends.
but I think it's cool that they just showed up and they actually helped the Rangers. They didn't betray them.
Yeah. They weren't like a last minute villain. Like I thought they honestly were gonna be, and that kind of would have brought it down for me.
I thought there was gonna be something where they're actually like the bad guys or something. Not like before we got all the info or like the episodes came out. More so just
Honestly,
the idea of, oh, there's other Rafconians. Maybe they're the bad guys.
I think Power Rangers is a series, at least as of how it is right now. Show and don't tell is a good storytelling function. I just don't think Power Rangers should always do that because I feel like they do it to the point where you just kind of like, is that what they're supposed to mean? Like, is that what they're trying to do? And the big thing, I was like, okay, you can at least have a line about it. Like come on, like give us something so we know that's what you're going for. And that's Zato as like a character. I love Zato. No, my favorite red, easily my favorite red. But
How dare you portray Casey like this?
I feel like he has this character arc of like basically how he feels as a leader. Like, oh, there was him originally like leading the Knights of Rafcon, and he fucks up. There was him leading the Dino Fury team originally, and he messed up. And then there was him leading the modern team, and there's all these times where he messes up here and there. And then the Rafconians, the new generation comes in, and they're like, okay, we look up to you. You're the legends. And you, Zato, you're the leader. So it's just like, by the end of the series, it feels like, oh, yes, I've truly made it as a leader after all these times of failing as a leader. And it's just like, I finally have reached a level that I've always wanted to have, especially when he has that moment where he sacrifices himself. And it's just like, wow, like it is great. Like it is very, it's such a good story, and like it's a god tier character arc of just becoming like a good leader of what he's always wanted to be. But they never outright say it.
That I was gonna be like, is it though?
They never say
like
it. That's what's stopping it from being like absolutely god tier. Because I will believe that's what they're going for. Like you could give a little more. Like you're allowed to say stuff.
This is kind of related, but I tweeted this out. The finale, not that this is a bad thing. I think it's actually kind of neat. It's an opposite of how Ryu Soldier handled it, because Ryu Soldier
did Ko also sacrifice himself?
Ko sacrifices himself, but then it's like a personal fight between the Rangers and Aris. Like this is like, we're doing this for Ko. You killed him, we're gonna beat your ass, basically. I'm not saying that's what happened. That's how I view it. It was probably deeper than that, you know.
Oh yeah, and this one it's like, all right, yeah,
we're gonna fight you. Blow up, guys.
And then Zato's like, all right, got it. I will have to admit, I think people are hating on that final fight. I've seen people like it, but ever since it came out, obviously from that German import, I've seen a lot of people going like, actually, it sucks, and also it spits on everything Ryu Soldier did, and then they were using Eris like that, bro. Those people. It's such a cool concept, bro. I don't know if another Power Rangers season has done it, because my memory of Power Rangers like other seasons right now is very wonky.
I got a good memory.
But like,
what specifically?
The concept of tiny Rangers going on a super big like bigger than their own Megazords, and fighting on that as the monster environment. Or the background environment.
There's never... There may be something. Maybe there's something. But I don't think there's ever been a moment where the Rangers, like
that entire
go
sequence...
outright to fight the monster, if that makes sense. There's moments where they try to fight it, but it doesn't work.
That entire sequence is just so cool to me. Of, like, them launching from the sky like Fortnite to go fight the giant monster. And it's just like a whole thing. Like, it tries to slap Ion away, but he uses his blast to propel himself away.
You know what it reminded me of? I don't know if you remember. There's that part in Ryu Soldier where like they get slapped by Eris. Like I think they go to attack and then Eris just slaps them and they just fall. They all fall to the ground. It reminded me like an opposite of that, where it's like they're actually like going to do this on purpose. They're gonna fall and like try to get hit or whatever.
Yeah.
It was a meme for a bit. It was funny. It was just like,
wow,
getting slapped.
That fight is so good, and they even like incorporated the roll call. I loved it.
One thing I found odd that they did. This is a nitpick. This is a big nitpick. So there's that part in like the first 2 or 3 episodes of season 1 where they use a shot from the episode of Ryu Soldier where most of this footage is from. Or the episode after it. The roll call footage of them all in the armors and stuff. And it's like, why'd you waste that? Why couldn't you have it in this episode? You could have had all the Rangers and the armors and the Megazords, but no. You wasted it for a small second clip. It's not that big of a deal, but it's like you still used it. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a nitpick.
I love the final fight, and I really... I know the character deaths are kind of saved for the last episode, but like I didn't really care for Steel's sacrifice and Beast Morphers, but like
they just raced against robots. So
Zato's really hit me, man. I loved it, his entire scene, and like they set it up from the start with it's a guaranteed one-shot kill, but it also like will one-shot kill you. So.
One thing, this isn't me like trying to rain on your parade. This is just me like noticing stuff, and like this is just what I.
Is it gonna be like, it's guaranteed to take out your enemy, but it didn't even completely destroy the thing?
No, not that. It's they do that scene. They keep the footage from Ryu Soldier where like Red's looking all sad that the Zords are gone, and I'm like, buddy, Zato, you let the Zords like blow up like every other week. Like no, he's not your old friend. No, don't talk to him like that. Like, I don't know. It's. I don't like that. I think this is one of my problems. Like, they act like the Zords are alive, but they're really not, in a sense, because they just get rebuilt at the same time. But it's also just like
I can understand that.
There's no real connection.
I can understand that on the level of like, average people people call their boats and their cars she her and stuff. So it's like I feel like it's kind of like that.
I guess so. Maybe it's just more like, not like Ryu Soldier fan. I don't even think Tiermego's not like a groundbreaking character, but it's like, Tiermego's great, right? Mm-hmm. But him like being like, bye, Ko, like that's a thing. That's sad. But Zato just going, bye, old friend, to a dinosaur that's never talked to him. It's weird. I feel, and maybe that's just a victim of them keeping the footage.
Also, there's just a lot of stuff that I feel like are just like. Sure, you may not want to imply it because kids don't want to have, I guess don't want to think about it. But it's like, you can show it like again like Zato's entire arc of like becoming a finally good leader.
Yeah, you could show him being
and stuff where it's like his biggest failure was letting his team die. So he doesn't want that to happen again. So it goes all the way full circle with him. Like he's finally a good leader, and he's finally like letting himself die so the rest of his team can live. It's the opposite. It's the flip around.
You can even take that as like the Zords blew up because it was kind of his fault in the first place, but now it's like the Zords are letting him do this.
He's using all the Zords' power.
But maybe I'm reaching.
I think that's also pretty good. It's just like you can give a little more.
It's just more like I wish that you're right. It is just like a little bit more. But I mean, beggars can't be choosers. I guess
Yep. Also, I love Solon. I don't care what anyone else says. I fucking love Solon. Right. Solon is fun. She has her comedic relief role, but also like mentor, like low key adoptive parent of the team. God damn, Jacob.
What? Don't cut that out.
No, that's staying.
I'm kidding, guys. Guys, it was a joke.
I love Solon.
Guys, don't send me fan art.
There's I wanted to talk about this, and it's like it also could fall into my whole thing of like show a little more. There is very definitely a theme of a family in the show. Like there is an undeniable theme of family. Like all the side characters usually like have relations to a certain character. Like
Zato comes back and someone's like, my boy.
Yeah. Oh, I love that line so much.
So
I love that line so much. But it's just like, Izzy and Javi and the Garcia family. Amelia has Pop and Void Knight and stuff.
Pop's actually a good character.
Pop is fun. Ollie has his mom, and blah blah blah. Zato has Solon and arguably Ion. And it's like there's a theme of family. There's a lot of parent stuff going on. Like it's definitely a theme that's there. But I don't think it's like... It kind of almost feels like an unintentional theme, TBH.
I could see that. And it kind of makes you wish it was more like a found family type of thing. Especially with... I don't know, because the way I think about it, it's kind of like...
Yeah, I definitely wanted it to be...
It pushes... I feel like the focus is on Amelia in a sense, right? Like, it probably definitely is supposed to be, right, in a way. But it's also like, Zato is also like... He has this whole huge backstory. It's like, he's in a world that's 65 million years removed from when he was, right? That's a standard typical, caveman, whatever. Not even a caveman. But you get what I mean. It's like, shouldn't he have like a whole storyline about like he needs a found family, but you get what I mean. Like, there's a way you can take that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But it's just like I wish that was delved into more. Especially like with Ion, Zato, and Solon, because they obviously feel like a little family within themselves, and but also just like the whole thing that the one episode where Void Knight copied the Fury Unleashed like final move from the Dino Knight armor, and he trained by having Javi do it, and he had that line of like, you would make a fine knight, and it was just like that made me think like, wait, are they not considered knights? like they've been fighting for a year. Are they not knights?
That's sort of like the weird, like, they're not really knights. So is it really knight based? It just happens to have knight equipment. That whole thing. That was like a discussion for a bit. I think something
I think Dino Fury would have been elevated if they included like a whole like. Yeah, we are learning like basically we're learning knight culture, and by the end, are like we can truly appreciate knights, and we feel like knights.
You remember those legends? Yeah, we're them. We're him. Himmy Hans.
Himmy Neutron, bro. Like we started off as rookies and average people that didn't care about all this stuff, but now we know honor and stuff, and we're knights like Zato. Game on. But like no, they're just like, yeah, we're Dino Fury Rangers.
We're the Power Rangers. Which is also fine.
It's just a separate thing. There's knights and then there's Power Rangers, even though the Power Rangers are knights.
Yeah, I guess it is separate because the Morphin Masters made them into the Power Rangers. It's not like they were. It is the night thing is separate. It just kind of happened. That's a whole thing. The Morphin Masters, but like I don't really care.
But we've been talking for an hour about Dino Fury, so I think that we should get close to wrapping it up.
Actually, this might be our longest episode.
It is. It very easily is the longest episode. So Jacob.
So for
final
quick wrap up before I know. Hold on.
Oh wait, go ahead.
What's your hope for Cosmic Fury?
My hope for I know a lot of people have said like, oh, I don't see where they can take the cast, like after this, but I'm staying consistent. All right. I just spoke like for 40 minutes about how I think there's so much left unsaid about the team. That's just like, yes, I want to see season 3 because just for the hopes that like everything I said here is something that'll be talked about in Cosmic Fury. So I'm fully on board for them being here. I don't know if Lord Zed's going to be the main villain or someone else is going to pop up, but like I'm on board. I am definitely on board, and I am excited.
I'm waiting for the suits to be revealed, and it's Dino Fury again, but they're using the Q Ranger suits as they're just using them as Cosmic Fury, like Super Mega Force.
Let's go.
I want that. But I think you're right. There's a lot. It kind of can only go up in a sense. It's not like they can really regress the characters if they. I mean, they could. That'd just be stupid. But like,
Izzy somehow becomes straight.
Oh God. I don't know, you could do not Izzy, I was going to say Izzy and Ollie. You could do Ollie and Amelia. Well, I guess you could have, like, them all kind of, not get together, but, like, you could have them all kind of relate to relationship troubles. Like, if they are in space, that's going to be difficult for Izzy and Fern and, like, Ollie and Amelia, you know.
And, like, all their families.
Yeah, I guess them too, you know. Whatever.
Rangers.
But I think
in space.
I really hope they're in space, like, 24/7. Like if they don't do that, not saying in space was in space they kind of were. Lost Galaxy they were, but not really at the same time. But I think like we got to see them in a ship or something. I think that's going to be cool. Honestly.
Yeah. They did say the whole like the head base was like a ship just underground.
Intriguing. I guess we'll see tomorrow.
My big thing that I want to mention in this podcast. Stop calling Dino Fury White the Cosmic Fury suit. Shut up.
It's not. We know. I might get in trouble, but they just made that suit for Dino Fury, and that's it. And I don't think it has anything to do with Cosmic Fury, from what I've heard.
Like the entire design takes aspects from the Morphin Masters and the Rafcon armors. Like it has nothing to do. Like I saw a redesign.
It's literally Shishi Red Orion. That's literally
I saw a redesign that's like. So here's what I think would have made it better, and it's like, okay, I added an astronaut helmet to the suit, and this. Fan artists, if you make a redesign like that, I know I've seen one. If you see, I forgot your name, but if you see this, I love that art. Keep the work up. That is not the Cosmic Fury suit.
I actually like that suit. I actually think it's cool, but like, it's not great either. You know?
Yeah, I'm not gonna die over this suit, but I think people are harsh.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like act like it ruined Ryu's Soldier or anything, you know.
Yeah, it's like I'm not gonna act like it ruins everything, but I'm not gonna be like, if you don't like this, fuck off and die. I don't care that much.
You do you, man.
It's cool, but you know, final thoughts as a whole in Dino Fury, Jacob. Story, characters, all that.
Characters, fine. Ollie's great. Story, it's all just personally. It's all just fine. It's also just could have been better. It could have been a lot worse, though. I think that
it really could have.
I think I'm gonna look at it like that. It could have been worse. Could have been worse. I think what we ended up serviceable. I think with the fact that it's well received, and the fact that it's getting a third season. I think maybe there's hope we still get more Sentai adaptations. Probably not, but you know, wishful thinking. What do you think? What are your thoughts overall?
Characters, I think this is the best cast we've had in a while, especially in terms of how charismatic and fun the actors are when it comes to like loving 100%. the fandom. I saw these guys live at Power Morphicon. They fucking love being Power Rangers. Like they're such a fun cast, and I'm glad they have more chances. Story wise, I think the story is really good, but like I said earlier, it is like it's a tiny bit unintentionally really good.
Mm.
Because there's a lot of stuff that they kind of leave like out in the open that you like. It's basically hints that you can grab and put together yourself, and those hints put into the story are really good. But again, they're just hints.
Yeah.
But as a whole, amazing, and I can't wait to see it hopefully expanded upon in Dino Fury or in Cosmic Fury.
We'll see you next time when we discuss Operation Overdrive.
And with
Not
that,
really.
we have officially hit the 2-hour mark, making this our longest episode. And with that, I'd like to say thank you all for listening. This is the end of College Boy Taisen for now.
We're never doing another one.
Yeah, that was crazy wording. But I'd like to say, if you are somehow not tired of my voice yet, this is probably coming out after. But so I'm gonna make the assumption earlier today that our brother sister podcast in arms, Runaway Tokusatsu, has an episode featuring me. I was there. Jacob had a solo episode, and now I have one. So you can go listen to me
I'm
again.
actually on the thumbnail of your episode.
So yeah, you can go talk.
If you've seen the thumbnail, you'll get it.
You can listen to me again over there and enjoy it.
You can also listen to Ghia here at the channel. What's the channel? Is it just Ghially?
Yeah, it's just Ghially. Where you can listen to.
Yeah.
Go check out other episodes of College Boy Taisen. Go check out the Revice video essay. Yeah, all that stuff. Double G dubbing.
Geats. Double G dubbing. Oh, classic. We're definitely working on stuff. 100%. Ballin is definitely not going on vacation. Definitely. But
yeah,
you can follow us on Twitter at GuySulk. Oh my god, I didn't bring him up, but that's not important. You can follow Ghia at Ghially, but the L's are I's.
Yes sir, you already know the deal.
Ring the bell, future uploads.
Alright. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
I'm going to bed, man.
Good night, Jacob. Good night, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.